Hey, it's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. Welcome to Life Mastery Decoded, where I help you decode the struggles in your life in the areas of health, wealth, relationships, and spirituality with mind mastery, emotional management, and meditation. Welcome to today's podcast. Hey, ladies, it's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. Welcome to today's episode where I hope I am finding you living your life in the flow zone. The flow zone is a place where things are flowing for you. If you are not in the flow zone, then it is my intention that in today's episode, I give you one nugget of inspiration towards your transformation. When we were in Cincinnati just this last weekend, and we have a booth, an expo. We go to these mind, body, spirit expos, these shows. We're a vendor, and we set up our little 8x10 booth, and we sell meditation products. And we have also figured out how to create a little space within this 8x10 where I could do some energy coaching and releasing stuck energy in the system. Because I'm going to say it again, and I say it almost every single podcast, and I say it all the time when I'm having conversations, is everything is energy. And as everything is energy, we feel the energy in our body. And we, even not really knowing what we're saying or what we really mean, is our words that we use express how the energy is flowing in our bodies. So some people, like for example, if they're really like mad about something, if somebody might be saying, let that go, just let that shit go. But what do they actually mean? What does that mean to anybody? Or they say, get over it. If you think about any of those two very popular phrases, let it go or get over it, let it go is release the energy. Get over it is basically moving through or over, get over it, move over the energy. But we don't really know. I hear these phrases all the time, and we understand them sort of, but if you were to stop and ask that person, okay, what do you mean by let it go? Like, what are you actually talking about? What's the process of that, right? Most of the time, they don't really know themselves. But interestingly enough, intuition shows up and gives you a sentence that makes perfect sense to somebody who works with energy, but they don't really understand. So anyway, I'm having these different women sitting in front of me. We're doing these energy coachings. And they sit in front of me, and I do this energy, I create this energy bubble between us. It's kind of like its own little safety net with energy, just to kind of drown out the sound and the words, the hustle and bustle around us and, throughout the expo and stuff. And then I say this little prayer to just allow me to connect to them intuitively and give me any messages, guidance, or healing that is necessary for this person to move closer or move further on their spiritual journey. And then I can feel, it's like plugging in. I can feel the connection to them and their energy. And typically right here, I can see ways in which their energy is stuck. So sometimes I feel it in my own body, and I'll feel like pain across my shoulders, or I'll feel, some tears behind my eyes. And it's really interesting. It's getting stronger and stronger. And it's been a lot of fun for me, to develop this skill. I wasn't quite sure that I had it, but now that's interesting. Now that I have it, and now that it's really plugging in quickly and easily, and I can see I can feel, I usually can't see it, but I can feel their energy, is I kind of always known. It's really weird, because if you would have asked me 6 years ago, are you intuitive? I'm like, I don't really know. Maybe I get some signs or signals here and there, but right now I would say yes. And I would also say, if I was any of the clairs, I would say that I'm clairsentient, which is the ability to feel other people's emotions. And I feel it in my own body. So anyway, when these women would get in front of me and they're sitting in the chair, and I would go through this little prayer and connect to them and try to move any energy that I'm feeling immediately in my body. But after that, then I say, do you know what you want to talk about? Or are you facing a challenge in some way that you want some help with? And the running theme of all of the coachings I did, probably more than 50% would say, maybe I'm stuck. And I'd say, stuck with what? Like, what are you attempting to do that you feel stuck? And they would just go, I just don't know. I'm not kidding. Every single one that said I'm stuck said that right after. Like, they just didn't know, but they just weren't feeling in the flow. They just didn't know what they were saying, but the words were, I'm stuck. And I'm thinking, okay, so what that means, and you've heard me say this analogy before, and it's worth repeating because to me it is such a beautiful analogy that really explains the movement of energy. You have a spigot on the side, whichever side you choose, and you have a hose that's connected to the spigot, and the other end of the hose is pointing to your garden. And your garden is your life. Your garden is the experience in your life. And you can look at your garden and you can judge by the look of your garden how beautiful and wonderful your life is. My flowers and my vegetables and the shrubbery are just absolutely beautiful and vibrant and abundant. Or it is completely covered in weeds, or it's dead and barren, right? So now we look at the hose and we look at the spigot, and the spigot, the water that runs through the hose, is what in energy terms we would call life force energy. This is energy that either comes up through Mother Earth or comes down from source energy. And if the hose, which is our body, our physical body and our emotional body, which is our energy, if the hose is blocked somehow, life force energy can't move through freely. It's blocked somewhere. And typically, if you picture a hose, and let's say it's full of gunk at this one section of the hose, but you turn the faucet on and water is building up behind this gunk, what is coming out at the other end? Nothing or gunk. Nothing or gunk, neither of which we want. But then what's building up in front of the gunk between the water spigot and the stuck? Pressure. So if we think of our bodies as that's the hose, and let's say the top of our head is the connection to the spigot, and birthing down through our feet into the physical world, this experience, which is our garden, somewhere in between, we are feeling pressure. You're feeling it in your throat, your teeth, top of your head, your lower back, your hips, your knees, your ankles, your upper back, your shoulders, something, your wrist, right? Your hips, if I didn't say hips already. You're feeling the pressure. And it's really interesting because the more I dive into this energy work and the more I understand like the chakras and how energy works, and then using this analogy, it is quite entertaining to speak with people that are feeling this pressure. So if my body from my head to my feet is the hose and my head is connected to the spigot, life force energy is trying to move through, and my garden is dry and barren, which is my life, or an area of my life, but I'm feeling physical pressure, let's say in my low back. I try to do something and the pressure is in my low back. That tells me that there's stuckness there. There's gunk. And life force energy is moving through, but it's getting stuck right there. Well, the low back at this part, the first three chakras, the root, the sacral, the solar, are all based in the physical world. So I'm like, okay, like this totally makes sense, right? And I've been having some low back problems. Well, this part of the low back, if I think of which the chakras are, that's the solar plexus, which is my decision making, my action taking, that's my willpower, that's housed there. That makes total sense because I have a clear vision. I have intuition coming in through the crown chakra. I have a clear vision of my business. My throat chakra is pretty expansive. My podcast, speaking, coaching, my sister circles, I am talking my truth, right? I am expressing myself. Heart chakra, that's relationships with the girls in my group, relationship with my business partner, which is also my life partner, Amy, and building those solid relationships in my life and in my business. And then I go right down to the solar plexus and I'm like, huh. And that's where the low back is. The low back can be any one of those three chakras, but that's where I get stuck. And that intuitively I go, yeah, it's because I'm not making decisive decisions. And I am pretty decisive and I am pretty confident in my decisions, but I'm not making solid decisions that move my business forward. So when I look at my business, I'm like, we're just kind of stuck. We're bringing in more people into one of these groups, but we're not really growing in the Lady Rising group, and our calls aren't necessarily getting bigger, and things just aren't. But they're amazing. Like I love the production, and I love the relationships that are happening in this group. But I'm like, what's happening? Well, if I feel into my body, again, if it's the hose and I can feel where that pressure is building up, which physically in my body is my low back, I can work on releasing that energy, moving that energy out. Yesterday on the call, we talked about some of the words that you can use to create this flow again. The first thing we have to be is willing. We have to be willing to look at ourselves. We have to be willing to stand back and look at our energy and say, hey, this is where I'm getting stuck. Something I'm doing or not doing is creating this stuckness in my life. And I go, okay, am I willing to move that energy? Am I even willing to look at this? Well, shit, yeah, the answer is yes. Because I know that as soon as I unkink and I release that stuckness that's in the hose, life force energy is going to zoom through. And my business is going to be amazing. Because think if you were to clear out that gunk that's stuck in the hose. Now you turn the water on, what comes out at the other end? The gunk might come out quick. That's the releasing of it. And then it's clear, fresh water. And now my garden can grow. Now my garden is abundant. If I'm getting stuck at my solar plexus, then that is where I need to work. That is what I need to do. And right there, being willing allows me to move through that a lot easier than if I was not willing. The next is to be open. Am I open to new beliefs? Am I open to a new way of looking at things, a new way of being, new action, new steps, doing something different? Because what I've been doing so far is getting me these results, which if I look at my garden, looks like crap. So am I open to new ideas? Just if I say that, it gives me chills and it just makes it feel so amazing, because am I open to my garden growing? Or am I afraid of my garden growing? That it's going to be so luscious and so beautiful that I'm not going to be able to take care of it. That's a fear of success. But can I trust myself? Can I trust that I'll be able to figure it out or get the support that I need? Being open. The next one is being allowing. Am I allowing new things to come into my life? Because I can be open to the idea and then be like, wait, I don't know. I don't know if I want this big, beautiful, vast garden, because I don't want my neighbors coming over and cutting all my flowers. I don't want a bunch of bees and hummingbirds over here eating all the nectar in the flowers and creating this second problem. Wait, I'm not sure. So we can move through this process and see where else we're getting stuck. Being willing to release this from our system, from our energy system, and allow our life force energy to move freely through us. Remember, you have never been given an idea that you can't handle on the other side. You have been given all the tools and techniques that you need, the skills, the beliefs that you need to take care of the things that you want. It's our beliefs that stop that from coming. When a person wins the lottery and they now have millions of dollars in their bank account, and then 2 years later, they are completely demolished of that money and in probably worse shape than they were before. And if that's the case, that's because their belief was, I'm not deserving of this money, or my set point, my financial set point is so low that it has to go back down to where it was. So here is where, am I willing to change my beliefs about things? Am I willing to look at my beliefs differently as it relates to whatever this topic is, whatever topic that you're struggling in? And when you are able to look at those things like that and say, yes, I'm willing to change that. I'm willing to just look at that. There's no harm in just you and your journal exploring some of these options. And I think it's really important. So when these women sit down in front of me at the booth and they say I'm stuck, I can look at their energy and have them go into that stuckness, into that stuck place, because we can feel it. We know when we're in the flow. We know when we're in the flow zone. And if we're not in the flow zone, then words come out that give us the clues that we're not there. I don't feel good. I feel stuck. My life is not moving. I need to let that go. I need to get over it. We say all of the things that we need to. So think of the things that you say to yourself. Then you look back and say, where am I feeling this pain or this pressure in my body? in my physical body, where am I feeling this pain or pressure? Then particularly, that's where you're getting stuck. That's where you are building the pressure. You can release that. Being willing, being open, being allowing. So if this is you, then I encourage you to just stand back and kind of decipher, even draw a stick figure. The top of your head is the spigot. The life force moves through you, through the chakras, through your physical body, out through your feet, which is the part of the root chakra, your feet chakras, part of birthing it into the physical experience. But because you're not manifesting the life that you want, somewhere there's some stuckness. And I just love doing this work because it's fun. And I love that analogy because it works so well for us to decipher what the flap is going on in our lives and how do I move through this. When these women, when I would kind of tap in intuitively into their energy, and I could feel the stuckness. As soon as I would tap in, I could see that they were stuck in their heart. I could see they were stuck in their throat, in their solar plexus, whatever it was. And then we would work through that to release that stuckness. And it was so amazing. They would leave the booth and they'd be like, wow, like, it's like I just got in the river and it just swept me away. Like I just went from here to there and it's just this beautiful experience. And I email them afterwards. I send them an email, just checking in, see how you're doing, and if you have any questions. And then sometimes, I might relate to the coaching and say, hey, were you able to make a decision about that job, or and try to remember what part of the conversation where they were stuck. Okay, so were you able to, to go to your boss and ask for the raise, or whatever it was that they were stuck in. And typically they write back and they're like, I feel amazing. I feel amazing. I feel like I know what I'm doing. I feel like I could walk right in there and make the decision. I feel like, my relationships are better. I'm so much more patient than I was. And it's really cool. I stand back and I'm like, I'm so appreciative of being able to make this safe space in my booth where people can come to our booth and they can see me in this capacity where we can help them with this energy shift, and we can help them with this ability to move the energy. And I just love it. I just love it. And I hope that as we go on, like through our sister circles, I hope that you will join me, because we're going to start doing this in the groups. And even though as a group, it's a little bit different than to do it with an individual person, of course, but I think it's so fun to be able to move this energy. It's like, I don't know, I just keep saying it. So anyway, we do have sister calls. In the month of April, we're talking about self-care and self-love. And then in the month of May, we're talking all about meditation. So check out Facebook, Lady Rising. If it's something that you're interested in, I'd love to have you. I'd love to work with you and to help you release the energy. I think it's going to be a really good couple of months. If you liked this episode, please share this with 3 of your friends. And if you like this episode and look forward to future episodes, please consider making a small monthly donation to help support this podcast. If you're looking for a community to join and have more access to me, then consider joining one of my communities. Chakras for Beginners is an energy-based community that is highly active and growing every day. Lady Rising is a sistership community where the focus is on spiritual support and empowerment. We hold monthly calls and talk about topics just as like today's episode. We also have an online store where we can meet your meditation and chakra needs with products for your journey. You can visit us at www.themeditationroomtc.com. Thank you for joining me and being a valued listener.